The bright side of addiction is recovery. And recovery is the amazing journey back to self. Hi, everyone. I'm Neil Scott, and if you are new to our podcast, we welcome you. If you've been here before, welcome back. And if you're in recovery or know or love someone who is, or you simply want to know more about the recovery process, or maybe you're a bit concerned about someone you know or love, maybe it's even you, harmfully using alcohol or any other drug, this is the podcast for you. We carry the message of hope and the promise of recovery. And a reminder, you can find all of our podcasts at recoverycoasttocoast.org. Recent episodes have featured interviews with singer-songwriter Rufus Wainwright, NFL veteran Jeff Hatch, authors J.A. Jantz and Anne Lamott, heavyweight boxer Jerry Cooney, and many other prominent people in long-term recovery. Plus, conversations with everyday people in long-term recovery, sharing their story, their insight, their path. Now, in this edition of Recovery Coast to Coast, a conversation I had recently with Alicia Scott, a one-time international AA speaker whose life was taken over by ego and pride until she suffered a major relapse. She lost her kids, she lost her job, and more. But she knew what had to be done, and she did it. Her story overflows with rigorous honesty. Here's a quick clip from today's podcast.
International AA speaker.
Wow.
I went to Denmark, Iceland, London, Canada, all over the United States. And at the beginning, it was beautiful. I would get done, people would come up and thank me afterwards in broken English, and I would fall on the ground crying, just like, God, how did you do this? I'm just this little crackhead alcoholic from San Antonio, Texas, and that's why I say at the beginning it was beautiful, because what started to happen very slowly and sneakily was the ego and pride started to get bigger and bigger. And I have now become Susie Spiritual, Miss AA, who can save you. And I'm sponsoring 15 women. I'm speaking on the weekends. I'm working at treatment. And I couldn't see it. I couldn't see what was coming. I really thought, I'm good.
My conversation with Alicia Scott coming up next. And later in the podcast, we'll let Grammy Award-winning rapper MacLemore get today's last word. Presented by Sundown M Ranch, where recovery begins. Sundown.org. Our website is Recovery Coast to Coast. And if you'd like to help us out financially or know of a foundation or maybe a corporation that might be interested in underwriting part or all of our program, we would be ever so grateful. A reminder, our email address is recoverycoasttocoast@comcast.net. We'd love to hear from you. Recovery Coast to Coast, supported by Sundown M Ranch, one of America's oldest, least expensive, and most successful treatment programs. They're listed in Newsweek magazine's recent list of America's top treatment providers. I had an email, I guess about maybe a week and a half ago, asking me if Sundown treated adolescents. Absolutely. In fact, the adolescent program at Sundown utilizes a multidisciplinary team of certified counselors who are fully committed to the highest quality of adolescent treatment. And it's at the most affordable price. And yes, they do take most insurance plans. Sundown's adolescent program is gender specific with separate wings for males and females, obviously. Each person supported by a team of professionals that includes medical, educational, psychological, spiritual, and recreational specialists. Since Sundown is a not-for-profit program, they have some of the lowest rates in the country. They're not in it to bolster their bottom line, but to enhance the patient's long-term recovery. In fact, their motto is, the patient is the reason that we are here. If you go to their website, sundown.org, you can get a lot more information, as well as see some great photos of their facility. It's gorgeous. It's on 30 acres, which they own, at the mouth of the Yakima River Canyon. It's where recovery begins. Sundown.org. Well, it's coffee and conversation time on Recovery Coast to Coast. I was recently invited to San Antonio, Texas, to MC the 51st annual TAP Conference of Addiction Professionals. And I met an amazing woman who became one of the top international circuit speakers in the 12-step world, who travel around the world sharing their story. Well, she took her recovery for granted and relapsed. Now she's living a full and grateful life in long-term recovery, sharing her story with others. And today she'll share it with you. Welcome back once again, Recovery Coast to Coast, America's voice for recovery. We are down here in San Antonio, Texas. I just absolutely love coming down here every September for the TAP Conference, the 51st annual TAP Conference, still going on, getting bigger and better than ever. Right now, I think there's like 1,100, 1,200 people here. It's amazing. I'm always meeting new people, like Alicia Scott. She's the Regional RISE Program Director, and she has agreed to sit down with me. We've kind of gone back and forth in terms of times, and I missed her, and she missed me, but by golly, here we are together again. Okay. Alicia, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you.
And I asked how long you'd been in recovery, and you said 14 years this time around.
You caught that. Yep.
Oh, did I ever. Let's go back to the very beginning. When did you first start using?
I was about 14 years old when a lot of changes happened in the home and things went a little crazy. And so I think my brain was looking for something to survive it all. And so started drinking. And as you know how it goes, it was like, I'm going to do this again. You know,
what did it do for you?
Oh, goodness.
Everything?
Everything. Finally, I was funnier. I was prettier. I could talk to the boys I was nervous around. It was amazing. And the courage that it gave me to be someone else. And I did that for most of my life, to be honest. But at 17, I had crossed that invisible line into can't control it when I start, can't stop when I want to.
At 17?
17. I was in a blackout driving at 17 years old. Boyfriend had broken up with me and I was devastated, so I went out to blot it out like we do. And I ended up waking up in the hospital with my arms tied down, jaws wired shut, trach in my neck, staples down my stomach, feeding tube, and both legs in a cast. And I had no idea what happened.
What the hell happened?
I hit a telephone pole going 45 miles an hour without a seatbelt, and I bit the steering wheel. So the crazy part is I spent, 3 months getting put back together, learning to walk again, all kinds of stuff. I got out of the hospital, and my friends threw me a party for getting out of the hospital. My trach hole wasn't even closed yet, and I was drinking. And so looking back at that poor little girl, she had crossed the invisible line. And it was just the beginning,
Wow.
Yep.
So once you're out of the hospital and back to drinking again, of course.
Of course.
How does it progress? Where does it go? What happens?
Oh, the alcohol was the constant that went with whatever drug I jumped into, and got into a very abusive, kind of scary relationship when I was 21. So that escalated the drugs and the alcohol. And just some heavy spiritual consequences, I would call it, that happened. Yeah. Just the shame and the guilt. I'm a preacher's kid, by the way. Preacher's kid that went the wrong way,
Wow.
So knowing in my head what I learned in private school and at church and doing the opposite, So that shame and guilt just continued to drink to try to numb it all out. And finally ran away to try to get some help in 1998. And really all I was doing was running away from my first husband, the abusive situation. But I went up to Center Point, Texas, kind of in the hill country around here. But I wasn't ready to get sober. I was just kind of running away. And so didn't stay sober after I got out of that treatment center. And I thought I could drink again, and I just won't do drugs, right? And I remember looking in the mirror and going, okay, girl, you can drink. I have scars on my face from what alcohol did, and the insanity. This time it'll be different. And I did drink that night, and I did do drugs. And so it just started another journey. But in 1999, after a pretty heavy uh, drug addiction. I walked into a Cocaine Anonymous meeting in Kerrville, Texas, and I had just begged God, if you're even still there, I need your help. And that started something so beautiful. I'd never been involved in the 12-step world for real, and I walk into this room and
Why did you go? I mean, did someone tell you? Did you
no.
know about it? How did you find out about it?
So I happened to be using drugs with the chronic relapser of the hill country who became my second husband. He'd been to 30 treatment centers. All I knew was he was cute. And so needless to say, he was very involved in the recovery. Everybody knew him. So he knew exactly what meeting to take me to. Yeah, I'll never forget that. I pick winners, man.
Wow.
Yeah. But there was a positive part of that story. But I go to Cocaine Anonymous and start working the steps and start helping other women and just fell in love with the 12-step fellowship.
Immediately.
I mean, there was some darkness.
Oh, sure.
It took me some time and lots of shame and guilt that I carried about some of my behaviors and running away from God. And but I definitely, the part I fell in love with, though, was just the fellowship.
Yeah.
And I wasn't alone anymore. And my sponsor was like, girl, I did it too. And I was like, oh my gosh, I thought it was just me.
Yeah, yeah.
So that began just a beautiful experience with just falling in love with helping other people. And when I was 2 years sober, I found out I was pregnant with the cute chronic relapser. And so we decided to get married. He's still smoking crack, but I'm like, hey, if we get married, he's going to change. It'll get so much better. So my precious son, Ethan, was born in 2001. And when he was laid in my arms, it was just like, wow. Like for me, it was a gift from God, but in a way that was like so much love. Like all the stuff I'd done in my past, here's this precious baby. And so I kind of knew it was just going to be Ethan and I, because his dad wasn't doing real well. But I started working in treatment. And now I'm getting to help others in the AA world, but then also in treatment centers. And I'm teaching the steps. Second and third step were the steps. And now that God and I are on a better track, I just got to love on atheists or whoever they were, just, I didn't care if they were pissed at God. I was like, I was too. Let's talk about it, And I started to speak around different places. And my boss says, hey, Denmark has a conference. And they asked me if I know any female alcoholics who were also in Al-Anon, because I was in Al-Anon at the time. And I was just like, nope, I don't know any. He's like, I'm talking about you. And so that began a journey of me becoming an international AA speaker.
Wow.
I went to Denmark, Iceland, London, Canada, all over the United States. And at the beginning, it was beautiful. I would get done, people would come up and thank me afterwards in broken English, and I would fall on the ground crying, just like, God, how did you do this? I'm just this little crackhead alcoholic from San Antonio, Texas, and that's why I say at the beginning it was beautiful, because what started to happen very slowly and sneakily was the ego and pride started to get bigger and bigger. And I have now become Susie Spiritual, Miss AA, who can save you. And I'm sponsoring 15 women. I'm speaking on the weekends. I'm working at treatment. And I couldn't see it. I couldn't see what was coming. I really thought, I'm good. And so 10 years go by. 10 years. I hadn't been honest with anybody about behind closed doors. I was not doing okay. In AA meetings at work, I was doing great. Looked good. I know how to smile, Anyway, at 10 years sober, I remember seeing a lady at a restaurant having a glass of wine with dinner. And it pissed me off. I was like, how come she can do that and I can't? It's been 10 years. So my poor son, because I had to divorce his father, and so it just been Ethan and I. At 8 years old, all he knew was recovery. I took him to meetings when he was in a baby carrier. He knew how to say the Serenity Prayer. He knew the Lord's Prayer. In fact, at school, they had an event where they said the Lord's Prayer at the end, and he goes, stay sober at the end, because he thought that was the end of the Lord's Prayer. So all he knew was me, stable and sober,
That's a great story.
Yeah. And so I drink My first night, immediate blackout.
At that restaurant?
No,
No, when you get home.
At home, I'm
Yeah.
hiding, yeah. But first night of drinking after 10 years of nothing and immediate blackout. Within 1 month, I'm shaking in the mornings. So I'm still working at the treatment center. I've got to take shots of Bacardi to get the shakes down to go to the treatment center to help the poor alcoholics. So then what happened? Another month goes by. Halloween 2009. I'm in a complete blackout with my son in the car, and I get in a wreck. And I come to with the cops banging on the window and my son screaming in the background. Mommy, I told you to quit swerving, just screaming. So I get felony child endangerment. I'm on the front page of the news paper. So I lose my job, I lose my home, I lose my kid. And CPS says, Alicia, if you go to treatment, you get him back. Done. I know how to do treatment. So I went to a treatment center for 30 days and I did nothing to heal the real stuff. Nothing to heal the pain that I've been trying to numb out. So I come home. They give him back to me for 2 weeks for a trial. I'm drinking within 2 weeks. My ex-husband calls CPS on me a second time. This time, they say, Alicia, if you drink again, he goes to foster care. And Ethan is screaming, Mommy, don't you love me? They say I can stay if you just stop. And as they're pulling him out of my arms and driving off, what do you think I did when they were gone? Drank. I did the only thing my brain knows to do to not feel all of this. Because what kind of mother does this? You're horrible. You don't deserve him. Just all the screaming in my head. And you would think I got sober shortly after that, but I didn't. It took 2 years of pain that my son had to go through. And nothing was different the morning that I asked for help. There was no new charges. I had gotten my son back because CPS in San Antonio was different than in the Hill Country, and they were like, she looks good, sounds good. But what my son had to witness, I don't remember. I think it was September 2011. I woke up one morning and was just like, I can't do this anymore. And by the grace of God, I was sent to a women's trauma center in California. And I finally got to deal with the deep stuff.
Who sent you there? How did that process work?
Well, by the grace of God, again, because I'd worked in the field and people knew me and that kind of stuff, I was able to get, I had insurance still because I had a job. And so they got me to California, but my job said, come back in 31 days, like 30 days fine, 31, you lose your job. Well, at 27 days, I knew I wasn't going to be sober. I wasn't ready. And so I gave up my job to stay in treatment. I broke up with the really unhealthy boyfriend I'd been with because he was going to pay for all my bills while I was gone, but I knew he was drinking and he wouldn't be good. So I gave up my job, my apartment. I was getting evicted now. My car got repossessed while I was in treatment. Everything fell apart but me. I mean, I fell apart in a beautiful way. I begged God to rip me apart. I begged him. Because how do you have a new experience with the big book if you have it memorized? I know how to big book. I know how to smile and make it sound good. And I didn't want that this time. I needed something new. I cried every day for 90 days straight. Some days I couldn't breathe. I was crying so hard. So the beautiful breaking that happened was how God put me back together. And I came home from treatment. I dealt with some really heavy stuff, deep trauma that I'd never talked about.
This was in California.
In California. Yeah, I went to Safe Harbor. But I things I'd never talked about, things that just working a 4-step on my first husband who beat me. And I never talked about it, though, And so I had to go deeper. And so I come home. My car's been repossessed. I'm being evicted. My son is terrified to be around me. He's 10 now because he doesn't trust me. I've lost my job. I have no insurance. I have no money.
Lost your relationship.
All of it. My family's done with me. But what was that? It was this, though. God and I were like this. And I remember looking around and just going, this is so messed up. Only you can fix it. You know what I mean? I had to laugh about it. All right, man, let's see what you do. And it was the first time that I really got it, that you don't realize God is all you need until he's all you have. And it was the most beautiful. I wouldn't trade that for the world. I wouldn't trade my relapse for the world, because it brought me to him. And so the journey, began of like, let's go. And I'm about to celebrate. I guess I pre-gave myself a year. On September 15th, it'll be 14 years. So I'm 2 weeks away.
What and how are things different now?
Oh my goodness. For me personally, my recovery morphed into, I got very involved in Celebrate Recovery.
Okay.
Right? And so my faith, I did work the 12 steps again. I did have a new experience around it. I started some of the whole thing all over again, and it was beautiful.
Sponsor?
All of it. Yeah. Did all of that work again. And then it morphed into Celebrate Recovery and having accountability and connections there, because it's still the same 12 steps. It's morphed into 8 choices, and
Right.
It's biblical. And so the journey became more about that, and getting to use what I've been through to help people, whether it's at homeless shelters or different places. And so now this is 25 years of being in and around the recovery field. And now I get to work at family hospitals, and it's a sober healthcare community. And you met Dr. Higgins.
Yes,
He's
I did.
amazing. Yeah. And so I get to be the director of this location here in Bandera. It's been just a huge gift, because we get to help, like it's literally a triage center. People come in liver failure. One guy was having a heart attack. He checked into detox, and I'm talking to him, and I'm excited. I'm meeting his mom, telling him about our program, and they go, we need to transfer him out. But we stayed with him. I connected with him at the hospital, made sure he got back. We got him to treatment.
Connection is so
It's
important
huge.
in
Yeah.
recovery.
It's everything.
Yeah.
So this journey hasn't been without, trials. My son started smoking weed at 11. So I got out of treatment. He was 10. A year later, his brain is searching.
What's he now, 24, 25?
Yes,
Yeah.
24. And so as a mother, I'm the daughter of an alcoholic, I'm the ex-wife of an alcoholic, and I'm the mother of an alcoholic. So I am the family program as well. I've done Al-Anon. I've done. I'm an Arise interventionist who works with families. Mm-hmm. So now that my son's going through it, it was terrifying, because I know what's coming. I know this is going to end badly, and I only have one kid, and so I got a little crazy around trying to control things and fix him like good Al-Anons do, you know? And I ended up, he did some outpatient stuff and stayed sober for a little bit in high school, but then when he was 19, I had to give him the option to either get sober again or move out.
Little tough love.
And he chose move out. I thought he was going to say, yes, Mommy, I will stay and do recovery. That's what I was planning for.
Oh, Alicia.
I know. So he left, and all I gave him was his mattress. And as he's driving away to go live with 2 felons in the hood here in San Antonio, I thought I was going to die. So my journey around his recovery, I didn't think about drinking again. I never thought about that, but my faith got tested. I got pretty fried in the process, got back into therapy, got back into the Al-Anon and the support groups. And I can say so much more about that. But in 2 years ago, he called for help and said, Mommy, I need help. He'd been up for 4 days doing all kinds of stuff. And I got him to a treatment center that I love here in the Hill Country here called The Last Resort. So he went to treatment there. It's a great name, right?
Yeah.
It's a great place and a great name. So he goes to treatment there, and he extended for 90 days. That's how much he was working on it. And he's 22. Like I was just starting to smoke crack at 22, if I'm honest. Anyway, he just celebrated 2 years of sobriety.
Oh, the miracles.
And he's working at that treatment center.
No
Yes.
way.
And so down here in San Antonio, we get referrals from all kinds of treatment centers because we're a hospital. So if someone has high medical acuity, they send to us, we send them back. So the Last Resort will send us someone. And I get to go sit with the patient and tell him my story. And when I get to Ethan using and crashing his truck, all this stuff, they're like, tell me that the story ends well. And I'm like, dude, not only does it end well, you're going to go meet him now and he gets to help you up there, and we're all crying, and I'm just thanking God. Like, how can God do that? He uses the darkest night of my life to help people here, and then now he uses my son's story up there.
What a miracle.
That's what,
miracle after miracle
seriously,
after miracle.
Seriously. And that's why I say that for me, Jesus has changed my life. I've fallen in love with him and what he's done for me, and now I try to do it for other people, and I wouldn't trade my relapse for the world.
What does recovery mean to you today, Alicia?
My recovery today is about staying right-sized. For me, because my ego and pride was so big before, I am really clear on what she sounds like. So to be able to, and I say she, like the old Alicia, like, oh my God, they love me. Like, no, shut up, don't talk.
Yeah.
But being able to do the work that I need to keep doing on me. I'm still in therapy. You know what I mean? I still go to the meetings. I still help other people. I have to stay in action, because if I'm not moving forward, I'm going backwards.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so for me, my prayer is that I walk in a room and the light that God has for me shines, and that when I leave the room, people are going, what just happened?
Yeah.
And then it's not me, it's him.
And recovery is growing. Obviously, sobriety is different from recovery.
Correct.
And in recovery, it's moving forward.
Right.
I don't use the term relapse prevention anymore.
Okay.
I use the term recovery enhancement.
Nice. Yeah.
What are you doing today to make your recovery better than it was yesterday?
Right.
It is a process.
Right.
I don't use aftercare because it's continuing care. There's no after.
I like it.
You just keep it. It's a continuing process.
Yeah.
You don't get recovery in 30 days or 90 days. You get it in a lifetime.
Right.
And it's the life choices that we make. It's the connections that we make. It's the relationships in the 12-step community. In all of that coming together,
right.
One day at a time.
Yep.
And it sounds simple. It sounds trite, but it works.
It works. And it's funny, you hit on something that I tell patients all the time. The old Alicia would not have been able to tell you she's struggling with this or that or whatever. She would have been good at faking. This Alicia, I am a hot mess that loves Jesus, that I'm still in therapy, and today I messed up. I messed up today. My first words out of my mouth were not positive when I jumped up. I didn't pray. I didn't write a gratitude list. But guess what? I can do it tomorrow morning, as long as I keep going,
another chance.
Keep going towards the light.
Absolutely.
So you were right. It's about growing. What am I doing today?
Yep. Enhancing your recovery.
I love that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I thank you for coming by, and I'm glad we finally connected.
Me too.
In the back and forth.
Thank you for your patience.
I was hoping that this would work out,
Yeah.
and it did.
Great.
So I wish you well. I always say the bright side of addiction is recovery. You are the bright side.
And thank you so much.
Recovery.
God is good. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Alicia. Well, I hope you've enjoyed my conversation with Alicia Scott from San Antonio. She is happy, joyous, and free, and has been for the past 14 years, one day at a time. Congratulations, Alicia. By the way, I want to remind listeners of this podcast, if you'd like to tell your story of recovery on Recovery Coast to Coast, regardless of the path you've chosen, as long as you have been in continuous recovery for 1 year or more, drop us a note at recoverycoasttocoast@comcast.net. Coming up next, The Last Word, presented by Sundown M Ranch, where recovery begins. Grammy Award-winning rapper MacLemore, a person in long-term recovery, is going to talk about staying sober. That's in just 60 seconds.
She has always been your baby, but when your daughter got into drugs and alcohol, she turned into a stranger. What do you do? Where do you turn? Contact Sundown M Ranch. Sundown's nationally recognized youth treatment program guides young people back to a life free of drugs and alcohol. All treatment is gender-specific and directed by caring certified professionals in a safe environment. You can get your daughter back and get to know her again. Go to www.sundown.org to learn more.
And now, as promised, today's Last Word, presented by Sundown M Ranch, where recovery begins, sundown.org. Let's hear from Grammy Award-winning rapper MacLemore, who gets today's last word on recovery being a daily reprieve.
The disease of addiction. This is an uncurable disease. This is something that I don't graduate from. This is something that I don't go into remission. Like, this will be with me forever. And as a daily reprieve and a daily practice, what am I doing for my recovery? The disease of addiction.
That wraps up this edition of Recovery Coast to Coast, the national podcast. If you have enjoyed our podcast, share it with a friend or even share it on social media. That would help a lot. You can find all of our podcasts at recoverycoasttocoast.org. If you'd like to get in touch with us, our email is recoverycoasttocoast@comcast.net. Also, be sure and hit the subscribe or follow button. It's free, and you'll be notified the next time we publish a podcast. And remember, September is celebrated as National Recovery Month. But in reality, every month should be National Recovery Month. I put a link in the program notes with a few things that you can do during September, or any day for that matter. And if you're considering treatment for a friend or a loved one, be sure and visit NAATP.org/AID. That stands for the Addiction Information Directory. It's a list of those treatment programs that adhere to strict ethical guidelines. One of them is Sundown M Ranch. There are 1,000 other good treatment programs around the country as well. And join us next time for America's Voice for Recovery, Recovery Coast to Coast, the national podcast. I'm Neil Scott, reminding you to stay healthy, to live in gratitude, and to be kind to others. Remember, the bright side of addiction is recovery. Pass it on.